Over the last week, millions of farmers all across India started a movement, striking and protesting. Some estimates even suggest numbers as large as hundreds of millions. As I record this, tens of thousands of them are outside Delhi, the national capital. They've come here from all across India, traveling hundreds of kilometers, facing state violence in the form of water cannons, tear gas canisters, straight up assault, and even physical impediments to curtail their movements. The government not only put up massive barricades, but they straight up dug trenches in the national highways and the roads to stop people from coming to Delhi. This is historic. So let's talk about why this is happening. To understand the current protests, I think it's best to look at the events in chronological order with some context. So in June of 2020, the government of India, which is of course led by the politically far-right BJP, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's leading an increasingly authoritarian India with discriminatory citizenship laws, reduction of the press and academic freedom, overlooking an increase in hate crimes, and just an overall reduction in civil liberty. This government implemented 3 farm ordinances or 3 agriculture bills. Ordinances are laws that bypass the parliament and are promulgated by the president with the recommendations of the union cabinet, which is arguably undemocratic because of how it allows the government to pass legislation without discussion and voting by the parliament. These ordinances are based on a larger theme of privatization and deregulation seen under the BJP rule. They're disinvesting everywhere, from oil to railways to airports to banks. So these ordinances are really par for the course. So what are these laws? The Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill 2020, and the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill 2020. The stated goal of all of these laws is that it is a move towards a free market, creating one nation, one market, as the Prime Minister likes to say, moving away from curbs on trade, allowing for farmers to make more profit. But the effect of this deregulation would be much worse than any positive benefits it could bring. Now bear with me, but we do need to briefly look at these laws. The biggest problem with the laws is that it represents the authoritarian strain of governance now prevalent in India. India is a cooperative federal country with 3 kinds of laws that can be made: either state laws, union laws, or concurrent laws, where both the union government and state government can enact them. Agriculture and market both are state subjects, so these laws should be unconstitutional. Farm Union leader Balbir Singh says that a Supreme Court that was playing its role correctly would have taken suo motu action on it by now and declared these to be unconstitutional. But the union government is trying to get away with it by trying to define agriculture activity as being part of trade and commerce and therefore part of the concurrent list. So now let's take a look at how agriculture is done in India today. So how the selling of agricultural produce happens today is that there are 2 ways a transaction between a farmer and a buyer can happen. Either through government regulated APMC mandis, which are places meant to ensure fair trade by allowing for effective price discovery and giving infrastructure to the farmers. This is done by registering buyers, putting market fees on them, in essence creating infrastructure for trade to happen fairly. And to ensure that transactions happen in these regulated marketplace, states levy taxes on buyers doing transactions outside these mandis. What the new laws do is remove these external taxes, thus removing the incentive to conduct business in these mandis. So what's the problem with it? It is doing nothing to create a better market for farmers and instead has just created 2 markets. One regulated where buyers need a license and one unregulated where they don't. Further, the unregulated market disbars farmers from going to court to settle disputes, and they instead have to go to the government official. Now when one party is a large corporation and the other is a very small farmer with a small land holding, farmers say they won't get justice, and I think they're right. Another aspect that Balbir Singh highlights in his interviews is that these corporations have some money in their budgets to get rid of their competition, and the government is simply giving them more of it. Since they're not being taxed, that extra money will be given to farmers, but only in the beginning, for perhaps 2 years, he says. This will lead to the small service providers that help with transactions in the mandi and ensure smooth processes for small farmers to have to close shop. Once that's done and the mandis are not good places to trade anymore, they'll use the monopoly powers they have to give bad rates to the farmers. Many politicians in the ruling party have talked about how only 6% of transactions happen in the APMC mandi network. So it doesn't really matter what happens to it, like you can create a new market and just leave the APMC mandi and just leave it be and let it die. But that's entirely the fault of the government. 2 states, Punjab and Haryana, form 6% of the transactions in the country. And that's because there isn't good enough infrastructure and processes built in other parts of the country. These two states, on the other hand, have some of the best marketing systems in the world. Instead of helping to establish this similar model in all the states, they want to get rid of the concept altogether. This reminds me of that Noam Chomsky quote. That's the standard technique of privatization. Defund, make sure things don't work, people get angry, and you hand it all over to private capital. The difference here is that the leaders of the movement were not angry about the problems, nor did they ask for the system to be replaced. They wanted to be expanded and for it to help farmers from all other states. And this is why it's a national movement. Another central issue in the protests is that of MSP, and really the issue that has been most covered by news media. MSP is minimum support price for a crop that the government considers remunerative for farmers and hence deserving of support. It's the price the government pays the farmers when it procures crops for public distribution. This is for low income households to get food grains at a subsidized price and as part of food surplus that's maintained and stored by the government. This minimum price was essential for farmers to invest in input intensive and high yielding food crops. It is also a mechanism to prevent dire economic situations for farmers due to market fluctuations, something which is essential because this sector is very tumultuous, especially in places like Punjab, where land holdings are small. A single out of season rain can damage crop and put farmers into a spiral of debt. This has led to a massive increase in suicides in Punjab, and it's something that needs fixing as soon as possible. So, if the APMC mandis are rendered inoperational by the introduction of a secondary market, farmers fear that MSP based procurement will also stop and they will become susceptible to market problems which are already devastating lives. This argument is also supported by evidence because such a policy was implemented in the eastern state of Bihar, which led to a decrease in the income of farmers. So, there's no reason to attempt it on a national scale unless, of course, you are committed ideologically to a process of privatization and disinvestment. So, these are the problems. What do the farmers want? First, complete withdrawal of the three farm acts. Second, MSP to become a legal right of farmers. Third, withdrawal of this weird law that subsidizes electricity bill but farmers still have to pay the full bill and then they get it back later, but there are problems with the implementation of the check. So that. Fourth, withdrawal of a law that put an absolutely preposterous fine of 1 crore rupees and a 5-year punishment for pollution on farmers. This the government claims is to help make air quality better, which is a genuine issue that needs a solution, but this is the stupidest way to go about fixing it. With no incentives and just these extreme punishments, you're putting the burden of climate change on working people, while regulations for corporations are loosened. Absolutely terrible, that needs to go as soon as possible. Fifth and finally, the implementation of Swaminathan Commission, which is a series of policy proposals meant to improve the conditions of the agriculture sector and the lives of the people. Now, these are the demands, but we must also look at the people's response and how they're going about achieving these goals. Because these are important and historic in their own right. But if you're someone outside India and working for progressive legislation, I think there's a lot to learn here. Now, I know that media has just begun to cover these protests over the last week, but the agitation against these farm laws have been continuing for months now. As soon as these laws were passed, farmers in Punjab had demonstrations where they burnt effigies of government leaders. This was on June 6th. On June 16th, a single union sent out a statement objecting to these laws. These demonstrations continued until July, and remember that this was happening amidst a severe lockdown and curfew. So there weren't really any mass rallies. Slowly, as restrictions were lifted, unions also started to coordinate together and had public protests. They had marches, demonstrations, protests, public information sessions, and they slowly built a movement. Many people were arrested in the middle of this, but they continued. At this point, the movement in Punjab was very large, and the chief minister had to withdraw all the charges against people involved in these protests. On September 24th, they started the Rail Roko protests, or Stop the Train protests, where they came out to block roads and train tracks. Amidst these protests, a coalition member for the ruling party broke the 27-year-long alliance because of BJP's refusal to repeal these laws. That is historic. I know I've said this a lot, but there are a lot of historic moments in these protests. All this while they had the support of unions across the country and led to the 200 million strong strike that you might have heard of in the news. But it wasn't very effective. All of it led to the Delhi Chalo movement or Go to Delhi movement. Farmers from all across the country, traveling hundreds of kilometers, made their way to the national capital. They're coming with their tractors and trolleys and whatever they can. To stop them from reaching Delhi, the government tried everything it could. They used water cannons, which are absolutely brutal in the Delhi cold. They used tear gas, they dug trenches on major roadways, They faced brutal violence at the hands of the police and the paramilitary. But the farmers persisted. Now, today, they're at the border of Delhi and they have camped. What are they doing here? They're gonna stay there and block all pathways into the capital until the government listens. They have come prepared with 6 months of rations, and further rations are coming along with farmers from all across the country. Another element that's important to note right now is that since most farmers are from Punjab and Haryana, because these states are closer to Delhi, many of the farmers are Sikh, and Sikhs have a unique tradition of langar. Langar is the institutionalization of the practice of giving free food to all people, regardless of race, gender, religion, or any of these differentiating identities. It's part of cultural, political, and spiritual life for Sikhs. This has allowed for people to not have to worry about food, as everyone together makes food and eats it. This tweet by Navyuk Safawalia brought this to my notice that because of this practice, all that is needed is for people to show up and you'll be taken care of. And he contrasts it with the US practice that requires a lot of fundraising for these movements. So yeah, there's something to learn here. People are sharing clothes, blankets, medicine. People are selling stuff at very cheap prices that people need. People are giving away stuff for free. People from Delhi are coming out to support in all the ways they can. They're providing them food, helping them with whatever chores they need to do. Activists from all across the country are going there. Nihang Singhs, which are a sect of warrior Sikhs, have come with their horses to protect people and ensure that there's no harm done to anyone and everything stays peaceful. These protest sites have become sites of community and democracy and humanity. Folks, you genuinely love to see it. If you want to take anything away from this video, it's that unionizing, organizing works. You just need to have that kind of moral courage that you stay true to your values and true to your rights and always fight for what's good against all oppression. You can learn how to do effective protests and demonstrations looking at this movement. As I'm recording this, the government has had 2 negotiation talks with the union leaders, but have not agreed to their demands. So the protests continue. The farmers have announced a nationwide shutdown on December 8th with the support of trade unions. Effigies of ministers and corporate leaders will be burned on the 5th, the farmers have said. All public intellectuals, writers, artists, athletes will give back their awards that have been awarded to them by the state. And they'll accept nothing but the complete rollback of all of these laws. All of this is happening with the complete support of lawyer associations, activist circles, trade unions, and all other such groups. Diaspora has also been very active in this regard. There have been protests in Canada, the United States, Australia, UK, Netherlands. By the way, if you want to get involved or just want to stay updated on whatever's happening around you, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at leftclicktv because I share and repost everything that's happening. Here's hoping the government listens and people can go back to their homes. If you're outside India, you need to pay attention because this is big. This is how you can bring positive changes to your community. And with that, let's end the video. If you found this helpful or you learned something, press the like button. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell. For updates, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram again at leftclicktv, but I'll probably be making another video and going more in depth about the political economy of India and the agriculture sector because there's a lot of fascinating stuff here. So get hyped for that. If you're a progressive who wants a more internationalist view of the world, there's a lot coming for you as well. So subscribe. Alright, take care. Bye-bye.